Imagine a serene Californian town shattered by the brutal murder of a young girl, a crime so grotesque that it later inspired a Hollywood horror movie. This is the story of Elyse Pahler, a bright 15-year-old whose life was violently stolen in 1995. Her murder sent shockwaves through her community and the nation, especially when the horrifying truth emerged. Her killers, three teenage boys, claimed they committed the act as part of a satanic ritual. This case was so disturbing that it became the real-life inspiration for the movie Jennifer's Body. Elyse Pahler was a typical teenager with hopes and dreams, much like anyone else. She lived in Arroyo Grande, California, where she was known for her kindness and her bright smile. On the night of July 22, 1995, Elyse made the fateful decision to sneak out of her house to meet up with three boys she thought were her friends. Unbeknownst to her, these boys, Jacob DeLashmut, Joseph Fiorella, and Royce Casey, had sinister plans. They lured Elyse to a remote eucalyptus grove with the promise of alcohol and drugs, but their true intentions were far more malevolent. In a horrifying act of premeditated violence, Elyse was attacked and brutally murdered. The boys strangled her, stabbed her repeatedly, and left her to die in the grove. Their motive? They believed that by sacrificing a virgin in a satanic ritual, they would gain the favor of the devil and make their heavy metal band, Hatred, successful. This shocking claim of satanic ritual sacrifice added a grotesque layer to the already heinous crime, capturing the media's attention and sparking a frenzy of fear and speculation. The details of the case are chilling and almost surreal. The boys later confessed that they had planned Elyse's murder for months, discussing it in gruesome detail and even practicing how they would carry out the attack. Elyse's body remained hidden in the grove for 8 months before one of the killers, Royce Casey, had a change of heart and led police to the site. This tragic story not only devastated Elyse's family and community, but also highlighted the dark side of youth culture and the dangers of falling under the spell of violent ideologies. The murder of Elyse Pahler is a stark reminder of how real-life horror can surpass even the most terrifying fictional tales. So, what exactly drove these teenagers to commit such an unspeakable act? And how did this horrifying crime inspire the movie Jennifer's Body? Stay with us as we delve deeper into the gruesome details of the murder, the twisted minds of the perpetrators, and the shocking aftermath of Elyse Pahler's tragic death. Elyse Pahler was a 15-year-old girl from Arroyo Grande, California, whose life was full of promise and potential. Born on April 24, 1980, Elyse was the eldest of four siblings in a close-knit family. She was known for her vibrant personality, infectious smile, and the ability to make friends easily. Elyse had a passion for music and dance, often participating in school activities and dreaming of a future where she could express her creativity. Elyse attended Arroyo Grande High School, where she was a sophomore. She was an active student involved in various extracurricular activities and always eager to lend a helping hand. Her teachers and friends remember her as a kind-hearted and compassionate individual, someone who had a positive impact on everyone she met. Eliza's aspirations included pursuing a career in the arts, and she often spoke about her dreams of becoming a professional dancer or a musician. Despite her bright future, Elise faced the typical challenges of adolescence. She was navigating the complexities of teenage life, including friendships and fitting in. Elise's trusting nature sometimes led her to befriend individuals who did not have her best interests at heart. This unfortunate trait played a significant role in the tragic events that unfolded. On the night of July 22, 1995, Elise made the decision to sneak out of her house to meet up with three boys she considered friends: Jacob DeLashmut, Joseph Fiorella, and Royce Casey. These boys, however, had a dark and sinister plan that Elise could never have anticipated. They lured her to a secluded eucalyptus grove under the guise of hanging out and having fun, but their true intentions were far more nefarious. Eliza's life, filled with dreams of a bright future, was brutally cut short that night. The horror of her murder was compounded by the fact that it was premeditated and carried out by individuals she trusted. The loss of Elyse Pahler was not just a personal tragedy for her family and friends, but also a stark reminder of the dangers that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary interactions. Eliza's story is a heartbreaking testament to the fragility of life and the importance of vigilance and awareness. Her memory lives on through the stories and memories shared by those who loved her, serving as a poignant reminder of the vibrant young life that was so cruelly taken away. On the night of July 22nd, 1995, Elyse Pahler made the ill-fated decision to sneak out of her house to meet up with Jacob DeLachmotte, Joseph Fiorella, and Royce Casey. These boys, whom she considered friends, had been planning her murder for months. Their motive, they claimed, was to offer a virgin sacrifice to the devil to ensure their heavy metal band, Hatred, would gain success. This grotesque plan would culminate in one of the most shocking and senseless murders in California's history. The night began with Elyse leaving her home around midnight, unaware of the evil intentions that awaited her. She met the boys at a pre-arranged location and they led her to a remote eucalyptus grove, a place familiar to them and far from prying eyes. The boys had chosen this secluded spot specifically for its isolation, ensuring that no one would hear Eliza's screams or come to her aid. Jacob DeLachmotte, Joseph Fiorella, and Royce Casey, all aged between 14 and 16, had been friends for several years. They shared a fascination with heavy metal music, particularly bands that featured dark and violent themes. Their obsession with these themes gradually morphed into a distorted belief that they could gain power and success through a satanic ritual. Joseph Fiorella, the ringleader, had a particular interest in Satanism and convinced the others that murdering allies would fulfill their twisted desires. As the night progressed, the boys offered Eli's alcohol and drugs likely to lower her defenses and make her more compliant. They then led her deeper into the grove, where they initiated their brutal attack. Eli's was first strangled with a belt, a horrifying act that marked the beginning of her ordeal. Despite her desperate struggles, the boys overpowered her, driven by their delusional beliefs and a chilling lack of empathy. Once Allies was subdued, the boys took turns stabbing her. The attack was relentless and savage, with Allies suffering multiple stab wounds. The brutality of the crime was staggering. It was clear that this was not just a murder, but a grotesque ritualistic killing. The boys believed that by inflicting as much pain as possible, they would appease the devil and secure his favor. After the attack, Elias was left to die in the grove. The boys showed no remorse as they walked away, leaving her bleeding and alone in the darkness. Elias's body lay hidden in the grove for 8 agonizing months before one of the killers, Royce Casey, came forward. Overcome with guilt and fear, Casey confessed to the murder and led police to the site where Elias's remains were found. The arrest and subsequent investigation revealed the shocking details of the crime and the twisted motivations behind it. Jacob DeLachmotte, Joseph Fiorella, and Royce Casey were all charged with first-degree murder. During the investigation, it was uncovered that the boys had been planning the murder for a considerable time, discussing it in gruesome detail, and even practicing how they would carry out the attack. Their lack of remorse and the cold-blooded nature of their crime left investigators and the public horrified. Jacob DeLachmotte, the most reserved of the trio, had been influenced heavily by Joseph Fiorella's manipulative and dominant personality. DeLachmotte, who came from a troubled family background, found a sense of belonging in their shared delusions. Joseph Fiorella, the mastermind, had an unsettling fascination with the occult and violence, traits that he successfully imposed on his friends. Royce Casey, who eventually turned himself in, was driven by a mix of guilt and fear of retribution from the supposed satanic forces they believed they had invoked. The trial revealed the extent of their distorted beliefs and the chilling premeditation behind the crime. The boys' defense attorneys attempted to argue that their clients were influenced by heavy metal music and a troubled upbringing, but the jury was not swayed. The evidence presented painted a clear picture of three boys who had willingly embraced a path of darkness and violence, leading to the tragic death of an innocent girl. The murder of Elyse Pahler remains a haunting example of how youthful curiosity can morph into something far more sinister when combined with violent ideologies and peer influence. The sheer brutality of the act and the cold, calculated manner in which it was carried out left an indelible mark on all who learned of the crime. Eliza's death was a senseless tragedy, a life stolen by those she thought were her friends, and a story that continues to serve as a stark warning of the potential for evil in the most unexpected places. The murder of Elyse Pahler took a disturbing turn when the teenage perpetrators claimed they killed her as part of a satanic ritual. This allegation added a chilling and almost surreal dimension to an already horrific crime. The boys believed that sacrificing a virgin to the devil would grant them supernatural powers and success for their heavy metal band hatred. This claim shocked the community and fueled a media frenzy, drawing attention to the darker subcultures of youth and the influence of violent ideologies. The satanic ritual claims were first introduced during the police investigation when Royce Casey, overcome with guilt, confessed to the murder and revealed the motive behind it. According to Casey, Joseph Fiorella was the ringleader who convinced the group that a satanic sacrifice was necessary. Fiorella, fascinated by the occult and heavy metal lyrics, believed that by offering allies as a sacrifice, they would gain favor with the devil and achieve their dreams of musical fame. As authorities delved deeper into these claims, they discovered that the boys had been heavily influenced by the themes of violence and Satanism prevalent in some heavy metal music. Bands like Slayer, known for their dark and provocative lyrics, became a focal point of the investigation. The boys had reportedly listened to songs that described ritualistic killings and satanic worship, which they claimed inspired their actions. The police took these allegations seriously and investigated the boys' backgrounds, looking for any evidence that might substantiate the claims of a satanic ritual. They examined the crime scene meticulously, searching for signs of ritualistic activity. While no concrete evidence of a formal ritual was found, the sheer brutality of the murder and the boys' detailed confessions painted a grim picture of their intentions. The community's reaction to the satanic ritual claims was one of shock and disbelief. Arroyo Grande, a small, tight-knit town, was suddenly thrust into the national spotlight as the media descended, eager to report on the sensational aspects of the case. The idea that local teenagers could be involved in such dark practices was difficult for many to comprehend. Parents became increasingly concerned about the influences on their children, particularly the impact of violent music and media. The media portrayal of the case amplified the satanic angle, often sensationalizing the details to attract viewers and readers. Headlines screamed of satanic sacrifice and devil worship, feeding into the fear and moral panic that gripped the nation. This media frenzy was reminiscent of the satanic panic of the 1980s, where numerous unsubstantiated claims of satanic ritual abuse spread across the United States, leading to widespread fear and paranoia. Authorities, meanwhile, had to balance the investigation with managing public fear. They issued statements to reassure the community that the boys were in custody and that there was no broader threat of satanic activity in the area. Despite this, the case continued to be a source of fascination and horror for many, highlighting the darker undercurrents that can sometimes lurk beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives. In the courtroom, the satanic ritual claims became a central part of the prosecution's case, illustrating the premeditated and cold-blooded nature of the crime. The boys' own confessions about their belief in gaining supernatural powers through the murder were used to demonstrate their twisted motivations and lack of remorse. This angle also helped to underscore the calculated nature of the crime, making it clear that this was not a spontaneous act of violence, but a carefully planned execution based on deeply disturbing beliefs. The murder of Elyse Pahler, with its satanic ritual claims, remains a chilling reminder of how violent ideologies and group dynamics can lead to unimaginable horrors. It also serves as a cautionary tale about the impact of media and cultural influences on vulnerable youth. Elise's tragic death continues to haunt those who remember the case, a stark illustration of innocence lost and the darkness that can reside in the human heart. The aftermath of Elyse Pahler's murder saw a swift response from law enforcement following Royce Casey's confession. In March 1996, Casey led police to Elise's remains in the eucalyptus grove, bringing an end to the 8-month search for the missing teenager. Shortly after, Jacob Delashmut and Joseph Fiorella were arrested and charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and other related charges. The trials of the three boys revealed the chilling details of the crime and their twisted motivations. The prosecution presented compelling evidence, including the boys' confessions and the physical evidence from the crime scene. The courtroom was filled with harrowing testimonies and graphic descriptions of the murder, leaving a profound impact on all who attended. One of the key moments in the trials was the testimony of Royce Casey, who recounted the planning and execution of the murder in gruesome detail. His remorse was evident, but it did little to mitigate the horror of his actions. Jacob Delashmut and Joseph Fiorella showed less remorse, maintaining a detached demeanor throughout the proceedings. Their defense teams argued that the boys were heavily influenced by violent music and their troubled backgrounds, but the jury was not swayed. In 1997, all three boys were found guilty of first-degree murder. Royce Casey, who had cooperated with the authorities, received a lighter sentence of 25 years to life. Jacob Delashmut and Joseph Fiorella, considered the masterminds behind the crime, were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. These sentences were a reflection of the premeditated and brutal nature of the murder, as well as the profound impact it had on Eliza's family and the community. The sentencing brought some measure of justice for Eliza's family, but the scars of her loss remained. The case continued to be a subject of media attention, and it sparked debates about the influence of violent media on youth and the responsibility of society to protect its most vulnerable members. Elyse Pahler's tragic story later found its way into popular culture, serving as the inspiration for the 2009 horror comedy film Jennifer's Body, written by Diablo Cody. The film stars Megan Fox as Jennifer, a high school girl who is murdered as part of a satanic ritual by a struggling rock band, only to come back as a demonic entity seeking revenge. While Jennifer's Body takes significant artistic liberties, the core concept of a young girl being sacrificed by those she trusted mirrors the real-life horror of Eliza's murder. The film uses this dark premise to explore themes of betrayal, revenge, and the objectification of women. However, it shifts the narrative from a true crime story to a supernatural horror, blending elements of humor and terror. The artistic interpretation in Jennifer's Body diverges greatly from the real events, focusing on the supernatural and providing a form of empowerment and revenge that Elyse Pahler tragically never had. While the film brought renewed attention to Eliza's case, it also highlighted the ongoing fascination with true crime and the ways in which real-life tragedies can influence and shape fictional stories. The murder of Elyse Pahler is a harrowing reminder of the potential for darkness in seemingly ordinary lives. Her story has left an indelible mark on her community and continues to resonate with those who learn about the case. The tragic loss of such a vibrant young life to senseless violence is a stark reminder of the dangers that can lurk beneath the surface of everyday interactions. Eliza's story also underscores the importance of vigilance and awareness in protecting our loved ones. It highlights the need for understanding the influences that can lead young people down dangerous paths and the crucial role that community and support systems play in preventing such tragedies. As we reflect on Elyse Pahler's life and the impact of her untimely death, we are reminded of the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing every moment. Her memory serves as a beacon for justice and a call to action to safeguard the vulnerable among us. If you found this video informative and thought-provoking, please subscribe to our channel and like this video. Your support helps us continue to bring important stories like Elise's to light, ensuring that their memories live on and serve as powerful reminders of the need for compassion and vigilance.